Big thanks to Bluefin Distribution for sending this out. Check them out and links to buy in the description. Kaiju, Turtles, Dragon Ball, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hey, hello there, collectors. It is Steven here, and I'm back with another Marvel SH Figuarts figure review. Marvel Cinematic Universe, to be clear. And today we're going to be taking a look at a figure that is now back on the market that was originally released almost a decade ago, May 2013. It did have another release a couple years later, but now it is May 2021, and today we're taking a look at the Iron Man Mark VI Battle Damage Edition. This figure is released alongside Captain America and Thor Avengers Assemble Edition. Tamashii Nations is looking to round out the Avengers proper cast from the movie, and we have another Iron Man on the market. Now, this one is loaded with accessories, die cast, and rather good articulation, but is this one going to be worth picking up, especially if you have previous Iron Man Mark VI or other suits? Well, let's take a look to see whether or not this Avengers-inspired Iron Man is worth adding into your collection. Iron Man's default look out of the box is actually not going to be battle damage, but that's okay because we do have the swappable parts, which are very easy to swap, and we'll take a look at those in the accessory section. Now, I would imagine that a lot of folks who are going to be picking this up are going to maybe not even have it for the battle damage, because some of the previous releases, like I did make mention, the original one came out nearly a decade ago, and that's going to be fine, because honestly, if I were to pick this up and put him on the shelf, then he's going to be in his neutral display option. I would only put him in battle damage if he's going to be fighting another character. If he's going to be fighting Hulk, because, you know, Hulk might be raging, or if he's going to be fighting Ultron. Now, with that being said, for his default normal non-battle damage appearance, the paint application is rather clean. For the gold, for the red, no bleeding over. The parts that are cast in their respective colors, there's no mismatch there. The articulation is blended in rather well for what is admittedly a robotic-like character, and some of the more smaller details for the paint application, like some of the mechanics on Iron Man, because you'll actually see, particularly in the accessories section, he actually has a couple of mechanical parts like pistons that are hidden. Again, we'll take a look at that soon. Those are actually painted rather well considering their small size. So while there is no such thing as a perfect figure, there may be some differences from unit to unit when it comes to looks, but the use of translucent plastic for the different faceplates, for the chest, and the die cast for the feet, yes, he does utilize die cast. Overall, the application is good, and Iron Man looks great. Do be advised, though, there are some areas which, if you're not careful with the articulation, you may scrape up the paint. You don't want to do that, so please handle Iron Man with care. All right, Iron Man's articulation. What do we have? Head is on a ball joint, so we can move it around. And as you can see, where the head plugs into the neck, into the body, is on a ball joint as well. So we can get him to look up that far, down that far, left and right, bob and weave, all that. And you can twist and turn. He can look in any direction that you need, okay? Now, the one thing that I will note on this particular unit, this little portion of the armor likes to pop off with ease. So as I'm moving mine around, you may notice that over here, I'm rather gentle because this does really like to pop off on mine. So, you know, I'm just acknowledging that I don't want to lose a part, right? Right. So shoulder pads, they are on hinges, very conveniently placed hinges. So this way they don't really interfere that much with the shoulder ball joints. So we can spin the arms around entirely. Do take note, we do have one part back here which sticks out and is at a point, very hard plastic. You will scrape paint. Be careful with your figures. You won't have that issue. Now then, once again, shoulder armor there on a hinge, so we can raise and lower the hinge and the actual shoulders themselves for Iron Man, and we get some nice movement there. So he can T-pose with ease. Then, of course, forward and back, that's all good. You can see there we do have a dedicated bicep swivel. We do have double hinges for the elbow. Look at that bend, fantastic. Then this actually kind of surprised me because whenever I was looking at Iron Man, I always thought that this would be attached to the forearm, but that little shield there is a part of the wrist, and the wrist is on a ball joint. So that plugs in, very good. Torso. This is where you're going to have to be very careful so this way you don't scratch any paint. The articulation is not as fluid as some other Avenger Figuarts, but we do have a ball joint ab crunch. We can push him back that far, down about that far. Rock from side to side, not so much, but we can twist and turn. You do want to be careful, though, because you do have these sharp points here. You don't want to scratch up his abdomen, which, speaking of that, we do have a waist joint, which is going to allow you to rock him forward and back well enough, a little bit from side to side, and you'll kind of see here, it kind of looks like Iron Man is beginning to open up. There is a ball joint in there, which I did happen to pop Iron Man off of that by accident, and it was pretty difficult to reattach him, so do be careful, because this is hard plastic. You don't want to break anything. So if you do have any accidents, please use heat or a suitable lubricant to help you with the reassembly process. Now, to move on with the hips, we do have the 1.0 style body Figuarts joints where we are going to have pull down hinges for the hips. So this way we can get him to increase his height about that much if you want, which is pretty cool. And that helps with extending for kicking forward and back, which is always cool. And then if we were to push them up, we get about that far forward and that far back. Do note his booty is sculpted, so that is going to interfere with hind leg movement. But as you can see here, the ball joint plugs into the hip, and then we do have a dedicated ball joint there where the hip plugs into the thigh, and we get some articulation there. I do feel like it wants to swivel, but on mine, for whatever reason, it just doesn't quite want to do it on the joint connection here. But we still do get swivel movement up at that hip ball joint where it connects. We do have a double knee hinge, which works wonderfully like that. Now for the feet, which are die-cast parts, we are going to get the standard ankle movement that we would have on pretty much any of your Figuarts. They can move forward and back, and they can rock from side to side fantastically, actually. Just look at that angle there. It's very good. And then we are going to have a toe hinge. We're only up about that far, but realistically speaking, we're not really going to need all that much movement out of the ankles there. But oh, what else do we have? Yeah, we do have a little bit of flaps here on the heels of Iron Man. So this way we can kick the feet back just a little bit more to make it look like he's flying. And then do we have any other hidden little doodads? I don't know, but effectively, that's going to be the articulation section, and if there's anything else that's hidden, we will see it in the accessories. So overall, for articulation, Iron Man does pose rather well if you know what you're doing. You just got to push him a little bit, and he will be just fine on your shelf. He can take a whole bunch of fun poses, and then also something to keep in mind as well, there's a little gap there for the hinge for the shoulder armor that these little pointy edges kind of just slide into, almost like it's intentional. So, yeah. Keep that in mind, be creative, and you will have yourself a good time with Iron Man. Now, after recording the articulation section, Iron Man actually does have a couple other points of articulation. He does have pop-out shoulders, so you just got to grab the shoulder, pull on a little bit, and the shoulder will pop out to help increase the range of movement. Those little flaps on the back of his hands as well, they also have a small hinge to help with the different accessories, so this way he is able to use his blast effect parts, which we'll be taking a look at right now. And where do I begin? He comes with a lot, and I'm just going to go ahead and read off the set contents from the instructions. So he's going to come with a total of individually 6 alternate hand parts. He's going to come with a damaged faceplate, a damaged chest part. He's going to come with what are called hand injection effect parts and foot injection effect parts. I'm going to assume that these are going to be for flight. He's going to come with back flight parts and leg flight parts. These are actually going to be opened up parts, so this way we can simulate Iron Man flying. He is going to come with repulsor effect parts, long and short, for his blast. He's going to come with laser effect parts, hand cover parts for the laser effects, left and right. He's going to come with shoulder armed effect parts, so this way he can fire missiles and stuff. Forearm armed parts, so this way he can fire off his blasts. And instruction manual, this paper, the thing I'm reading off. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at those battle damaged parts, and they are executed rather well, I would say. They are nice and slashed up for Iron Man. It does look like he has taken some serious damage, and oh boy, if you are looking to have him battle someone who is really going to tear him up, maybe you want to put him on display with a Godzilla. This would definitely be appropriate. And all of the paint that is utilized here, it is actually masked rather well. Now, to go ahead and swap these out, it is super easy to do. There are a couple of points where if you just want to pop your fingers in on the edges of the shoulder part, it's very easy to pop those off. As well for the faceplate, it's not really that difficult to do. You can actually stick your nail on the top or the bottom and just pop them off. Now, the translucent parts that are used on the chest and the faceplate still carry over here. For the shoulder parts, those are actually going to be easy to pop off. For the inner parts, most specifically, actually, those are really easy to pop off throughout this review. I actually managed to pop those off several times by accident. So just keep in mind, if those pop off, they can be rather easy to lose. Now, for the edge parts, those are going to be hard to pop off for the first time, but once you do that, those actually fit in rather snug, and you don't have to worry about losing them constantly. So for the inner parts, Iron Man is going to have missiles at the ready, and then he's going to have little other mounted gun parts that are going to look rather nice. The gold paint here is applied rather well. Now, Iron Man is going to come with an array of different beam parts. He's going to have his lasers, he's going to have his repulsor effects, and you can kind of see everything here. Now, again, this is going to be for action figures, so do you have to use the jet blast or the hover parts for specifically that? Go ahead and have fun yourself. You can see here that you can definitely mix up your displays, and even though everything just looks good and fine and dandy, for what the intended purpose is, you can mix and match, and you can have fun with your Iron Man displays. Now, when it comes to swapping out for the forearm parts, so this way he is readying his different hand blast parts, it's really easy to pop these off. What I would recommend is first popping the hand off, then firmly grasping at the bicep and the forearm and pull at the forearm, so this way you're easily able to pop that off. Then pop in the corresponding left and right part. You can actually see that written on the inside of the forearm, and then you'll be good to go. For the flying parts, you are going to have clearly designated parts because they're actually flipped open for the calves of Iron Man. They are also designated left and right. You just stick your fingernail in there and you can pop them out. Very easy to do. You won't damage the parts. And we can see little pistons, jet boosters in there, which I referenced earlier. Pop them in, you'll be good to go. Same thing goes for the shoulder parts, which are going to be for the outside parts where those little rockets, machine gun parts were at as well. You just pop those in, and now Iron Man can fly properly. Also as well, for the little hand guards that are on Iron Man, or wrist guards, whatever you would prefer to call them, those are easy to swap out. You just pull them, pop in the parts for the lasers, and that's it. Whew, okay, out of breath. Whew. Yeah, Iron Man just comes with everything you could pretty much need. And I'm surprised that at this point, for what I'm recording, for the different sections, the articulation section was recorded separate. I'm at 7 minutes and 50 seconds. Whew. All right, not too long. Yeah, Iron Man comes with everything. The only thing that he doesn't come with would be different explosion or hovering parts, which if you are looking for that, you know I got videos to help you out. He doesn't come with a flight stand, though. That is legitimately the thing that I think that Iron Man should come with, especially if they are going to include flight parts. Thankfully, though, support stands are cheap, and there are a ton on the market, and I have a video also specifically to help you find the right support stand. And to round out the review, here's going to be a size comparison with all of the Avengers figures that came out at the same time. So this way you get a good idea of how they're all going to scale, not only with each other, but with some other figures you might have on the shelf. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Overall, Iron Man comes with pretty much everything you could need. If you want to replicate him flying, you can do that. Any sort of attack that he has, you pretty much have that. I mean, there are probably going to be some different ones, like maybe some missile effect parts he could have. But I mean, at this point, for the price tag and for this release, for the size, I mean, we can go overboard, but this is just fine. I mean, this is a solid release. The only thing that I could say is maybe we could get another release of some Iron Man with the 2.0 body style for those hips. Otherwise, Iron Man is good. Maybe better articulation in the torso, but hey, that's just, what I would like to see. For what we have, Iron Man is a rock solid release. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up.
Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.